what's your political ambition now? Because you lost a seat in Arua.
No, in
In
Koboko.
Koboko. So what's your next move? We are coming to 2026. Are you coming for another chance?
No, after the 2021 elections, there were lots of lessons that I have learned. Some of them were influenced by my job. Now, when I started being the Minister of Investment, my brain just opened up. There is a lot that I learned, which is that life doesn't begin and end in politics. That there is no money that you can make in politics. And speaking to people about investment opportunities and return on investment, understanding money, and getting the global exposure has really turned my brain the other way around. The things that I admired to do, I can't do them. I find it very difficult to do. For instance, I find it very difficult to just wake up, which I used to do, go to the bank and withdraw 100 million, drive to Koboko, 2 days, I blow the money, and I will not even know how to account for it. Once you arrive in the constituency, that very evening, people will come to you, and when they approach you, your mind is already set in a way that they're coming to ask for money.
Yes.
So before they ask you, touching your pocket and giving. I remember that I did some stupid things. I would get money. The worst was when I got 500 million and blew it in 1 week. Yes.
So you spent 500 million.
Yes.
In a week.
In a week.
Constituency.
In a constituency.
Were you building schools, hospitals?
I mean, you're opening roads. You're giving it to the different women's circles. You're giving it to the education fund that I had started, and then border groups, people by the roadside. And I remember that I put 5 million in my bag, and I started walking from my home because my house is in town, and I walked past town, but at every stage I would just give money. And I remember that I would give like 50,000 out to different people and out of will. So I'm like, oh my God, can I still go back and do that after knowing the value of money? I wouldn't. If I go back in politics, I'll run it in a different way.
Back.
No, if I ever go back, I'll run the politics in a different way.
But are you coming back in 2026?
No.
You're not?
No, because I am so deep in business and working for President Museveni. I think that's more important than going to ask for the votes.
Okay.
And my businesses need me too.
Okay. And remember that statement of Majema there, we have the soldiers. Do you regret that statement?
I didn't say we have the soldiers.
On our side.
I didn't say that. I need to put this back in context. I need to put this back in context. This is what happened. So we were running out of time to amend the Constitution. Because every time we made an attempt to amend the Constitution, there was aggression from the opposition, violence, and they would attack whoever started it. And remember that there was, before we actually pulled it off, there was Honorable Sechiteroko, who came with the proposal to amend the Constitution. I remember both sides of the House literally booed him. And after booing him, he coiled away and that voice went silent. And so, as people who are in NRM and strongly believe in President Museveni, for me, what started me off was when I went for a meeting in State House, and we were launching the Giants Club. And I remember Siland Huchere asking this question directly to the president, because the rumor was everywhere, but people were fearing. Nobody wanted to boldly come out to say, yes, the Constitution has age limit, and therefore we are going to have to amend it, because anybody who dares say that will be ridiculed, will be attacked, will be abused by those who didn't believe that the Constitution should not be amended. So time is running out. Elections are fast approaching. What do? I'm seated there and listening to Siland Huchere asking the president. I have seen David Mafabi starting his constitution amendment process. Now, David is not a member of parliament. Constitution can only be amended by members of parliament. And President Museveni says no. And before that, Sila's question was that I've seen David Mafabi actually proposing amendments to the constitution. And when you came to power, you say that the challenge with African leaders is overstaying in power. So what do you have to say? So President Museveni stood up, and his response was that I'm not party to what David Mafabi is doing. And I don't have any problem with the age limit. So at this point, it dawns at me that actually President Museveni can leave us. And I have unanswered questions. If he decides and says, I am not running, what's next? Now I'm starting to worry about the future. So the drive of worrying about the future made me not to leave that state house that day. I followed him. As soon as the press conference was done, I said, President Museveni, Mr. President, what was that? He's like, yes. I said, yes, it's what I just said. And I'm like, where are you going to go? Whom are you going to leave us with? And so after saying that, I said, I need to come to you with like-minded people, and we need to have a talk over this discussion. He agreed. So I came and mobilized my friends. As always, Peter will be first suspect. So we went back to him. And we explained to him, we had picked legal brains of the consequences of if we don't amend the constitution, and then we actually literally said, no, we need to amend the constitution. And in my group was, of course, Honorable Magezi. And then we said, we are going to amend the constitution.
And remove the age limit.
And remove the age limit.
Do you regret that actually what you did was wrong?
I don't regret it, because that's why I'm still asking for him to stand in 2026. I don't regret it. Had I regretted it, right now I would be saying, no, let him not stand. But I don't regret it. So,
but
once we said it...
Do you think that was a big disappointment to Uganda?
No. To those who historically did not believe in him. Historically, they have a problem with him. Whether he was in his first term of office, second term, third time, they historically have had a problem with him. So that was a disappointment to them. But those who have always believed in him, they have no problem with that. So this is what now sparked off this debate. So it was a protracted debate. Right from the time the opposition members realized that we are going to amend the constitution, they became so aggressive. But I always tell you that some of my things are inspired by the fact that I'm a journalist. As a journalist, I know that every news is news. There's no bad news. So the best is you have to be in the news, be on the headlines. Now the headlines started changing. Remember, we had captured the headlines because there was demand from different parts of Uganda for President Museveni to stand and for the age limit to be removed out of the constitution. Now, all of a sudden, this debate is shifting from removal of the age limit to anybody who dares is going down. And I watched Honorable Alan Sewanyana, Honorable Nsereko, Honorable Namboze, among others. These are the prominent ones that I remembered. I remembered them. I watched them. They had tied their head with those red berets and threatening anybody. And I'm like, oh my God, this can't be like this. Being the journalist myself, and I'm like, no, we have to change this narrative. I immediately called my colleagues, and I'm like, and they were demoralized. They said, no. I said, if we lose it this time, then there's nobody who is going to ever amend this constitution. So I called them, telling them that. They said, now what are we going to say? We have exhausted all our strategies. We've brought people by their region, by their gender, by their positions to come and affirm their positions to amendment of the constitution. So what else are we going to say? I said, no, let's just go. Let's give confidence, because everybody in the meeting, they're like, Anita, I have little children. I don't want to be killed. Anita, I have little children. And when we went for that last press conference, by the way, it ended up to be our last press conference, we're seated on the table, and members of parliament were sitting like this, hiding themselves. They don't want to be seen by the cameras, because any face seen is
it's a threat.
You're going to be threatened. And so people are like, our lives. And I remember going to the president and reporting this to him. He says, no, don't worry, we'll give you the protection. And indeed, he gave us the protection.
Then you're like, we have the magic.
No, wait before we have the magic. So we have the protection. So, and so other colleagues of mine said, I remember Peter's got the microphone. You'd see that he sat next to me in that thing. Honorable Peter. So he spoke. The deal was that I was too annoyed that I should not speak. And I agreed to them because I remember Honorable Rakajara was also in that press conference. And then I told them that, okay, fine, I'll go in there, but then keep quiet. So as they're speaking, and they're hiding, and they're not being clear, as a journalist, we're not catching the headlines. And remember, I've mobilized the media to do a live coverage. So we're not catching the headlines. So like at the tail end of the conference, I said, bring the microphones here, bring them to me. So they brought the mic to me. And I positioned myself.
And you're like, yeah.
I'm like, now I have seen people in opposition doing this. Now I have to reflect where they come from. We come from northern Uganda, and those of us who come from northern Uganda, we don't have to go to the gym. We eat kalo. We have energy. I told you it is drama, politics, and all that. So, and I'm like, we have
the magic.
If all these options fail, we even have the majay. And meanwhile, I had heard that word majay in the corridors. And I'll not tell you who had said that word. And it's one of the majays who had said it, or describing themselves as majay. But I did understand because I don't speak Luganda. At least now I've improved my Luganda, but I still don't speak fluent Luganda. But I listen to most of the words now. Time in the city. So anyway,
the Majay thing.
So the Majay thing sparks off.
It started
I
trending.
didn't know that it was so gross or so catchy. As soon as I finished and walked out, I started getting, my phone was buzzing. And I remember people calling me and I'm panicking. I have to report to my headquarters. My headquarters is first my husband. I told him, darling, I don't know what it is, but everywhere I'm hearing, Ogunomona and it Ogunomono.
So,
I don't know what they're saying, but everybody is saying. Some people are saying this is so bad. Now, again, Chankwanzi experience. I became an enemy to all those who are with me in the camp. From being a darling, and everybody saying what you've done is bad. So I become a leper again.
So did you imagine, like you said, that you didn't know that you had done something gross? Do you believe it was gross? Saying
yes.
You have Majay?
I'm telling you, I believe.
You regret that
Wait,
statement?
I finish for you telling you the points. So there, I can tell you by the time I reached home, my husband just advised me, there's only one person you have to report what you have done to. And I'm like, who is that? He says, the president. I called switchboard, got the president, and the president told me, you have not said anything wrong. Indeed, your life was at threat, just as it is the lives of all the citizens. Go back and explain to the people that if anything happens to Uganda and its sovereignty, indeed, the Majay will come and defend and protect.
Yes.
So don't be afraid of what you say. And I'm telling you that I got this relief, but as I'm getting the relief, I'm still getting the attacks. Had I known the meaning of the word, I would not have said it. But now that I have said it, and they've given me an explainer, I had to go everywhere in the media houses to explain. But even that day when I went, the following week, that happened like on a Thursday, then Monday was cabinet. No, actually, cabinet happened the next week, or Wednesday. Back then, we used to sit on Wednesdays. And when we went to cabinet, this was a big issue. I was being attacked. Why did I have to say this? Now I'm making government look bad. I don't know what. Until the president came and explained. He came and explained and said, no. I mean, if people are threatening the lives of others, do you want them to sit back? And you really believe that the military will sit back? No. So he explained, and then it brought calm and sanity again. But I would say that it is one of the statements that I make without knowing the impact of the word.
Yeah, but later you regretted that you couldn't retract it.
I've already said it.
Yeah.
But all I can say is that...
So tell me also a little bit about Gateway to Koboko. The gateway to
Oh
Koboko.
my God, I have met, I'm a journalist. You have to get always the punchy lines.
So tell me about that punchline. Hmm?
Because you can't go without the punchlines. Me and you were in the same school
Yes.
and taught by the same lecturer, Ben Bella.
So
Now,
tell me about that
so
punchline of.
you remember what you told us, that man bites dog, that makes news. When dog bites man, that doesn't make news.
Yeah.
So you're able to remember my punchy words. So anyway,
Do you also regret the gateway
I
to Koboko?
don't. I don't actually. I don't, because I was on a high. When you're in a high, you're
Happy.
you're happy, yappy, and so I was on a high.
You are high on what?
I was high on the fact that I was going to win the election. But little did I know that actually my statement would annoy people, just like it did with the Maje. So I didn't know. So you see, what I've learned over time is to be very calculated with what you say. And this comes with age, because when you're young, you don't mind, you're high, you're happy, you're excited, excitable and excited. And so, anyway.
That was it.
That was it. And I didn't mean, I had no target in mind. No, did I have a target? Yes, I did. I actually had people power. I had Bobby Wine as my target. And yes, I actually gave them a punch. And they followed me. And they said, no, we take the keys. But you see, even if they took the keys, I didn't lose. They lost. And that's why if you go to Koboko right now, you'd get the people crying for Anite. Because they know what I did for them.
Then you took away your ambulance.
Then I did.
So why did you do that? You give and take. That's...
No. You see,
like you were annoyed.
At the time of losing election, like I was not annoyed, because I didn't lose that election. And I still insist that I didn't lose that election. Because I actually just surrendered the seat. Because once we started getting robbed, and I was getting information from the people, and my agents were resisting. They actually, my agents came back saying they cannot accept that result. And they were encouraging me to stand independent. And they were crying, literally weeping. And you could imagine somebody who has lost cannot have that number of people in their home. I had a huge number of people. The difference was only 1,000 of the stolen votes, but I didn't want to challenge it. And I only had one person or two people to consult. One of them was my husband, the other was the president. This has happened, what do I do? And he asked me, is the person who has won the election, is he NRM? I said, yes. Do you think he will come to the house and support us? My answer was yes. So that was it. And then you don't have to be in the race. This was his answer to me. So,
and you're like, it's okay.
And I'm like, it's okay. And then I'll do other things.
And you're like, you guys bring back my ambulance.
No. So, because I was very confident that I had other things to do. Listen, at the time of that election, I had gotten 3 degrees. My first degree of mass communication with Uganda Christian University. I had gone to Tufts University, the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, and did international relations with my master's, and did business at Harvard. And so I had 3 degrees. And I had a small business in Koboko of a hotel. So I didn't see myself in a position of loss, given the fact that I joined with nothing. I joined at a point where I had 1 degree and only earning 500,000. So I knew that even if the worst came to worst, I would still not be the same. I would still live. And I kept on telling people, I have my papers. So at that point, I didn't have the anger. Even when they burned down my billboards, I was not angry. But I told them that what they did was wrong. Even when they threatened to ban my own hotel, even when they became so sectarian and said, the only reason why we don't want you is because you are Congolese, not because you didn't work. Because nobody ever said that I didn't work.
But maybe